to my channel. So today we're at Bopad. It was an amazing experience, guys. Check out my Instagram for that. But today we're going to be having a conversation, and it's going to be around how the social system affects the masculinity of a man, especially the African man, because he's used to providing everything. I'm used to having that kind of dad who was in charge of everything, provided everything, bought everything for everybody. And now moving to this kind of system where the government kind of takes over most of that. The question is, how does it affect the masculinity of a man, and how is he actually getting used to that? So we have a bunch of guys on the table, and we're going to be having a great conversation. Yeah, let's go.
I feel unbothered because it would have meant more work for me. Yeah, at least it's good that I can say I would just bother about maybe shelter and clothing and holidays and pampering my wife. Yeah, so I think it's very I think it has helped, but I don't feel any problem with it. Yeah.
To me, I do not think it has a way of demasculating any man or the African man. Of course, the African man is originally we are known, or we have been trained to provide, to always provide for the family. Even being here does not stop you from providing, because you pay for the necessary for the day-to-day upkeeps of the day-to-day upkeep of your wife, your family, your children. You provide for them, so it does not in any way emasculate you. Even when you receive some financial help from the government, it does not in any way mean anything. It also means a sort of help, just like my brother here has said. It's a sort of help to help you, but it means also you should also go work and then help to provide for your family. So the basic needs of the family is met, even with the socialist economy.
For me, my personal view, I believe everything still boils down to there's always this fear of the unknown. Because a typical African man doesn't know what's going to happen in the future, because most of the things we do, we're trying to protect our own and also to show that sense of belonging to our own. So in a system whereby you think that thing you do is now making you feel less a man. So it's a thing, something that bothers us here. It looks like you're gonna lose your respect.
I mean, that's the story of my life. No respect. I don't get no respect at all.
You're gonna lose your respect, and then your children because back home there's this thing. Go and say thank you to your dad because he provided this. But now there's no Jack and Dad Jiggy again. Go and say thank you to your dad because it's no more there. So you think these children will grow up not knowing you, not knowing what you can do, and then the respect will just go away. This is my own opinion.
That thing that Chisom said is easy to say, or it's making our job easier and stuff like that. But just give it 2 years. Give it like 5 years when you have kids and your kids are no more looking up to you. They look at you like on the horizontal level, and you are not used to that. As far as I'm concerned, if your father calls you now and tells you, "Hey, guy, show up in the house," you will start booking your tickets and how you want to get home. But a German parent can't tell that to their child. That's because they already have this orientation. That's something else. Really, they already have this orientation that you don't control my life. You didn't really give anything to me like that. So why do you have that kind of control over me? You get.
So I think that the government in a socialist community or a socialist economy provides the basics. It doesn't provide the standard of living that your family or that you would want to provide for your family. It's still the guy that will still, or the man is still going to provide that standard, and the kids are not going to wake up tomorrow and say, "Oh, because the government helped us to do this, then for that reason we are going to disrespect our parents." I don't think the disrespect or the thought that your parents don't have a right over you stems from the economy in itself. Because if the government is giving the parents, say, 200 euros to take care of the child for a month, 200 euros does nothing really for that child in a month. In my opinion, I don't think it demasculates men in any way.
The issue of respect, when it comes to children respecting their parents, I think is something that is familiar with the society we are in, not just because of the socialist society. I am saying. So because let's say, for example, in America, in US, it's mostly a capitalist society, but the same thing, the respect is the same here. Like no, there's no difference. So even in other European neighbors around us that operate on basically on in a capitalist society, is just the same. So it all have to do with the way you train your child, that will make the child understand the importance of fatherhood and or the parenthood. You understand? So let's not use the way the white men or the white people train their children, where they give them hands on. You can say anything you want to say to your parents, and there's no problem to that. To allocate with us. We know where we come from, but it does not mean that no matter the little help that we get from the government, because we you pay tax for those things. This, being in a socialist economy also is what makes Germany different from other European countries, some kind of way, because we you pay tax, everything is mostly provided, and things are cheap and easier for you, you know, because of the tax you pay. And it's stemming from the tax you pay is why they are operating a socialist this thing. So just like over there in the US, you see why there is a high gap between the rich and the poor. But here in Germany, you just have the rich and the middle class. You know, you can hardly see, not that there are no people who are on the lower class, but
Someone who has a job.
yeah, so everybody is scattered for. So it's not, it's more, there's more advantage than disadvantage, when raising children.
I'm also a proponent of the socialists because, as an individual, I'm not, wealth and riches is not necessarily my goal. And
Money isn't enough, he says.
maybe because of where I grew up in a very small village or village community. So I have a community mindset. And I think the things that we get here, like free education, free healthcare, not free, I mean, we pay with taxes, but in other words, don't necessarily need to pay a dime. I think it's more beneficial for the populace at large in comparison to, for example, like in the US, where you can have extremely rich people and then there are a lot of people who drop out of college, not because they don't want to study, but because they cannot afford to. So I think at the end of the day, for the average individual, it's a much better system. And then, about the issue about parental respect. I don't think I respect my parents just because my dad could pay my hospital bills or could pay my school fees. I think that's a cultural thing, and the even here, for example, there are individuals, for example, in a family, they could have maybe just a dad or the mom working, and the other parents are still at home parents. At the end of the day, individuals here have more time to spend with their children, and I think that is very beneficial. The main difference, for example, in comparison to Nigeria, where I'm from, is there's a lot less pressure on the man. And as a man myself, I think I could do without that pressure because literally you're just one small mistake from poverty. Anything could happen now and then you cannot afford to do anything. Unlike here, you see, even if you had to lose your job, you're still going to pay what 60 to 65% of your last salary for what 18 months or something. There's a lot less pressure. With less pressure becomes more opportunity to think, opportunity to live, opportunity to be present. And I think this are far more um important things than whatever little disadvantages you might have.
If I understand the question clearly, you're looking at the impact of the social economy on masculinity or emasculation, right? Let me begin from an academic point of view. There is a research published in the South African Journal of Communication and Theory Research that looked at the crisis of masculinity and power negotiation. And the main focus is, why do men suddenly lost that tiger nature, all because the society have made it easier for them to provide for the needs of the family. Talk about feeding the family, providing for some of the essential needs. And I think it's a misconception. You see, because of the gender values being eroded by the new trend of those who want to go for same-sex partnership. There's a level of reduction in that traditional men values or men stance of man being the sole provider, of him being the only one who can defend his family. And that is the origin of patriarchy, which has been the bone of contention for several decades, that we live in a patriarchal society. And now that patriarchy has kind of like reduced a little bit because of the increase in this gender equality, if we now complain that men are being emasculated because of the social economy, then the question will now be, what do you really want? Because if men show that masculine nature, we talk about patriarchy. If it's reduced, we talk of emasculation. What do you really want?
Just like Toby said, there's actually a study that shows, no guys, listen, there's actually a study that shows that when men spend more time with their children, they have higher estrogen levels, which causes them to have more female features. This is true. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to spend time with your children, but if you look at the way the system here is built, it is like it's equal. The man does this, the woman does that. Like it's equal. Everybody shares the responsibilities. I'm not saying it is bad. It is just a conversation I like us to have. But does that affect how you see a guy? I like me a bloke. I like a guy who is a guy when you walk in the room. But now this whole thing is now like if you spend so much time with the children, you're more likely to be softer, you're more likely to be more feminine, even grow breasts. Yes, because with higher levels of estrogen, a man can grow breasts. So, what are we saying? What do we really want?
I don't even know where to come in, but
You will come in.
I think the question is the social economy, the effect on masculinity. I think it's really affecting the masculinity. If I'm to compare where we come from, for instance, in Nigeria, um, to an extent, it's the man drives the pride, being the sole provider. But here you cannot do it. So and you things are being shared, and that doesn't mean that the man is not interested in the domestic or helping out the wife, from time to time. But when you are constrained on sharing this, some responsibility we think is solely for men, here you feel a bit such shortchanged. And this is not about you, the relationship between you and the children. I think to an extent you and your wife. So I think there is a it's necessary to like find a balance really, because if are saying that it doesn't affect, it affects. So really, it affects a little bit. So and another point is that the social system really does not encourage a lot of hard work, to be honest, and in fact it encourages laziness exactly. So if you are someone that wants to like keep pushing, you want to climb to the max of whatever you are doing, it will just keep bringing you down to the center. So you see, it's really okay. It's okay to just if you want to live normal, but if you are really aspiring to get to a particular level, then it really affecting the
How
my
we are
kind of
doing
person. Yeah, really, yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
My question to be about the survey will be like, what the time spent with your children, what activities were they doing? Were they sitting on the couch watching sports? Because I feel like, for example, if you're spending time with your children, you go fishing with your children as a man. I don't think you're producing high estrogen levels. If you're going mountain climbing with them, if you're doing wood carving, there are still activities that men enjoy, and then some children also, children, with anything you do, your child wants to follow you and do. So it's different. If it's that maybe those men were going shopping for clothes and furniture with their children, then that's perfectly understandable. So I still feel like there's still a balance we made.
I was going to respond to what Morgana has said in the sense that the socialist system encourages laziness. I don't believe that, because whether you're in a capitalist system or you're in a socialist system, if you don't put in the work to be the best in what you're doing and to climb up the ladder in one way or another, you will not do it, whether you get support or not. I think that the support, like we have said before, makes every other thing easy. It makes you focus on the most important things,
Guys, just focus, okay?
which is family. I realized that I noticed that in a lot of socialist system, you find that they are much more conservative as opposed to being a lot more liberal like the capitalist societies. So if you really want to thrive and you want to make exploits, getting some help doesn't hurt anyone, I think.
For me, this estrogen level study you did or you read is interesting because I don't know, hanging out with your wife won't it also make you feminine? So I don't even know, even if a guy has some high levels of estrogen, how negative that is. You understand? So those kind of those kind of studies, sometimes I think whoever is doing them has an agenda because I don't know what he means by because if I hang out with my wife a lot, I don't know. Maybe I should check my estrogen levels. You understand? So it's interesting, but let's also on not just read studies. Let's try to understand what the motive is behind this study because I don't know. This is interesting to hear.
Speaking about that study, yeah, speaking about the studies, I know just a little bit about that study, and part of it, first part is the part you brought up, which is what were the activities with the child. I think in that study, it focused on fathers spending their time with babies, not really bigger children that they could go out with. So they were not going fishing and going so they were feeding and changing diapers. Yeah, so infants and toddlers. So that was one. And secondly, you're asking about what the negative effects of having high estrogen in your blood as a man is. It could affect your sexuality, like your sexual activity, having like a high levels of estrogen in your blood. And like I said, you can start having more female features. So you are more likely to look chubbier, to look fatty, to look more soft. Like you have female features as a guy. That's actually what it's just trying to say. So yeah.
Really, it's affecting, masculinity to the barest. Like it's easier to find a lady approaching guys than a guy doing the same. So it's really guys are shy to talk to ladies here, not just foreigners, even the locals, right? But the ladies are really, getting more. They are more, yeah, more bold and stuff like that. So the whole thing, you might not really point it out very well, but if you check the normal settings as things should be, is not giving, is not giving. And coming from Nigeria, it's difficult. So really, it's affecting. But yeah, I think generally it's not bad at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he just raised an angle that I did not consider. I think, for singles, it could have some adverse effects, especially when it comes to dating, finding a suitable partner. And then, even then, I mean, yin and yang, if it affects men, it affects women. And the effect you see in women is that a lot of times now more women are more interested in more women in comparison to more men. So that might be an adverse effect. But in terms of, like, in the family setting, marriage, I don't think the effects are so brazen.
Like we have said previously, I don't think that the economy in itself impacts the masculinity or femininity of people, especially in the family structure. It depends on how the individuals are in their own rights. Because you have people, yeah, who don't even work all their lives at all. Money they already there for them down. They just came and met that money, and they're not disrespected because they're not working, because they already have all of these things sorted. So the society makes it easier for us to focus on a lot more important things. The family, have time to spend with the family, go out, spend time with the kids, help out in whatever way. But I don't think it in any way impacts whether the guy is masculine or not.
In conclusion, like I've said, I don't think it has a negative. The socialist economy actually has a negative impact uh, on parenthood, in quotes, fatherhood, because take us back to Africa. Even when we have a capitalist economy, we still have parents or fathers who don't even take care of their kids. Are you there? We still have fathers who don't even take care of their kids, who leave their kids on the streets, and you see kids who are hawking food on the streets to take care of themselves. Is that ideal? No. You understand what I'm saying? It's not ideal. But when the government can step in to help a little bit, then it saves a whole lot. It saves the day, And again, you see, back in Africa, fathers are more prone to die young. Like there's always like the fathers in Africa, because of so much stress and every hustle and everything, they die young. But yeah, people live longer. That's the truth. It's another study you have to, because of so many of, you know, you have to take care of this, take care of that, but it does not like, take out anything away from the father, because here the basic needs, like I've said, of a family, the father takes care of it. What the government gives you is support. It doesn't They don't pay for everything. I am saying so. It does not in any way have any negative impact, either in dating or in familyhood or whatever. It does not.
The young ones are getting very soft. It's not good for the society compared to where we are coming from. See young ones now, they cannot do any, strong thing, and it's not good. Everybody is just matching everybody into the same bracket. So I think there is still a place, really, for this masculinity to play, because what we are seeing the next 20 years now, they go mix everybody together. They all go, it's not going to be a good thing. Society cannot survive with that, right? So let's not underplay the importance of the masculine effects on the society.
As for we Africans, we have what is very, very important for us. And for the Europeans and the Americans, they have what is important to them. So we have to stick to that, which is very important to us, which is our masculinity showing up in the family, whereby the man shows that he is the man, and in everything he does, as in the children, the wife, everybody feels the effect of this man in every aspect. So I think what is there is, as in, for us who have found ourselves in this geographical area of the world, to kind of find a balance, because things you cannot change, you have to find a way around it, because you cannot change it, because how the system is already built. So for us, I think finding an African person, a partner African person, which is very wonderful, and finding a white woman might not really give you that taste of what you want.
For me, I think as a man, being the main provider makes you feel some sort of some it gives some strength, but here you have to share that strength, which is good. And less strength is also good for your mental health. Less work is good for your mental health. You understand? Or you could also channel the strength into doing other things. Yeah. But I think for respect, maybe in the family, some people might face challenges that are coming from Africa because they expect to have, some men might want absolute authority in the house, so they might have to share that. That could be a disadvantage for such kind of men. And I think for the children, since they know you're paying the taxes behind their bills, I think it doesn't do so much, but the society generally, it makes everybody have a voice, and I think that's positive. So even the man that has less money in his pocket can eat in the same place richer person eats. So I think generally for security and um, mental health, I think this is better. Than Nigeria, you're always under pressure. Even when you want to strike a woman, you are calculating how much the next guy has. It's a lot of work. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So it's interesting that we connected social economy to the reduction in masculinity expression or emasculation. But we can also look at a different angle, just to round it up, and maybe consideration for another podcast or another episode. The kind of food we eat, the kind of discussion that we engage in, and most especially the kind of the shift in the value system. Especially as Africans, we realize that our parents tend not to realize what we are turning into, because they keep mentioning, "Oh, during our own time, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen." And take the case of Petty Doche and his son. People keep wondering if that guy was actually born by Petty Doche, because he doesn't really represent what the values that the father actually, portrayed. So the kind of environment we grew up in, and I attach it to food, because the kind of food we eat, unknown to us, plays a large role in the kind of hormones that are expressed and the kind of proteins that are expressed. And these proteins, these hormones are protein, okay, and they go a long way to you know, I might start raising another topic, but let's round it up here by saying that I mean the social economy. Yeah, I mean according to your point of view, might lead to emasculation, but I don't think it's the sole source of that or is the sole reason, even if it's actually a reason. But then pointing back to my first argument, if the narrative has always been that the world is patriarchal in nature, and now there's a reduction in that patriarchal expression, I think it should be a good thing if the masculinity has kind of reduced in the expression and not in line with the gender equality. So there shouldn't be any fuss about it. But then, if you want a man to be masculine, you have to define what kind of masculinity do you really want. Is it the type that's going to be excessively dominant, or the guy who stands behind you or in front of you when there's a lion? What kind of masculinity do you want? Thank you very much.
So, what kind of masculinity do we actually want? Because sometimes we can hold on to masculine traits, and because it seems African, we just want to hold on to it and act like that's what the normal should be or our normal should be. Again, I must mention that with the new wave of radical feminism, the line between masculinity and emasculation has somehow been blurred, and we think that sometimes females can function as though they were males. So the role of a man is somehow blurred in society these days. And I think that's actually where the main problem comes from. Probably not just socialism, even though I still hold on to the fact that socialism plays a role in all of this, but it might not just be the only factor. You know, in Germany, there's this thing that Nigerians like to say. You say that when you have a child in Germany, that child is not your child, it's a child for the government. And I think that's where I started having that feeling that if parents start losing major or main control of their children, even though legally they are the primary caregivers, I started feeling like, so where is the pride of a parent? Or in this case, where is the pride of the dad, of the father? What I'm trying to say actually in a nutshell is this: if you're going to be leaving your country, your culture, to move to Europe or the US or any other country to have your children and build a home there, I think you should actually pay attention to what kind of system they have there and how it might affect your culture and how you can come out of that. Because I've experienced in many cases how the culture starts affecting the parents so badly that they lose track of the effect it has on their children, or they end up finding that out much later in life when not much can be done about it anymore. And that is sad. So, in our case in Germany, it's socialism. And it is important to note that as a father here in Germany, you are not all in all, you are not alpha and omega, you are not the lion of the tribe of your house. You are just the guy who had these children, who has the legal responsibility to take care of them and keep them in good health. But while doing that, I strongly believe also that you can impact healthy cultural beliefs in your children so that they are good mirrors of what a healthy African society should look like in and outside Africa. I hope anyway that this video touched your heart and you learned something from it, and it actually prepared you for the journey of living in Europe and having children here. Till next time, when I'll be seeing my friends and having this kind of conversation again. See you and have a lovely day. Bye bye. You make me